The topic is shell scripting in Linux. We will be creating two shell scripts. One is for files, directories, and another one would be for basic system information. First, let's understand why do we need shell scripting. Executing more than one commands at the same time is known as scripting. So scripting is simply to automate the process. Instead of performing multiple commands simultaneously one by one, we can put them inside a script and just execute that script, so we don't have to perform all the commands one by one. Let's just dive into creating our first script. For our first script, we would be creating a directory and we would be switching into that directory, and when we switch into that directory we would be creating a file inside it. So let's first perform vim space first script dot sh. You can name it anything. Now we are inside the vim or vim editor. So the first important step is to perform the shebang, that is hashtag exclamation mark followed by the path, that is /bin/bash. This would tell the Linux kernel that we are using bash as an interpreter. Perform this shell script. The commands, that is mkdir, kf khan. We also perform hashtag. So anything we put inside an hashtag doesn't get executed or doesn't perform as a command. It is just for the reference. So next would be hashtag change directory followed by cd space kafkhan to switch into that directory. Then hashtag create a file inside that directory followed by touch file inside kafkhan.dir. The purpose of this script is to create a directory, then switch into that directory and create a file inside that directory. So let's just save it by doing escape:/wq exclamation. This would save and quit that vim editor and the script. Now that we have created our first shell script, let's just give it permissions for execution. By default, Linux doesn't provide us permissions to execute. Even users that create the file doesn't have the permissions. So first we would need to allow permissions to execute the script. chmod space 700 space script name, that is first script.sh. Now here 7 means all the permissions read, write, execute for the user, that is me performing this script. So 00 means groups doesn't have the permissions for read, write, execute, and others doesn't have the permissions for read, write, execute. Only the user, that is me, has the permissions. 7 means read, write, execute. Now that we have given permissions, let's try to execute it again. Now it's executed. Let's try to perform ls to see the directory is present. kfkhan directory is created. Let's switch into that directory by performing cd space kfkhan. Now we are inside the kfkhan directory. That means kfkhan directory has been created by using that script. Now let's try to perform ls inside that directory to see if the file has been created or not. The file also has been created, that is file inside kfkhan.dir, which simply means our script has been executed. That was to create a directory, switch into it, create a file inside it. That was our first script. Now for the second script, we would be doing basic system information. Our aim for the second script is to know the host name, perform the nproc command to know the number of processing units available, system resource usage by htop, virtual memory statistics, that is vmstat. So we would be putting all these commands inside one script for basic system information. First perform vim space systeminfo.sh. Now that we are inside the vim editor, first insert, then the shebang hashtag exclamation /bin/bash. Now one more thing to remember is when we perform scripts, best practice is to provide information about who is creating it, the date when it is created, what is the purpose of this script, and the version of it. Comment out or hashtags so it doesn't get executed, followed by hashtag creator, that is CAF, followed by hashtag date, that is 4th February 2026, followed by system info script, which is the purpose of it, followed by hashtag version, that is version 1. So this would be the commented out. It would not get executed. It is just for our understanding of the script. It is a best practice to provide metadata or the information of who creates, when it is created, purpose of it, and what is the version of the script. Now comes the actual part of our script. So first would be debug mode, which is set space -x. When we have multiple commands, or if the script is too long, it would not be efficient for us to perform echo command for each command inside the script, and there also exists a higher chance of us making mistakes while adding the echo statements. We can mislead information. So to avoid that, we can simply put set space -x in the start. That would mean debug mode, which would provide the command information before the output, which means like if you are performing host name, it would give the command that is host name followed by the execution or the output. It would do host name followed by the output. So it would do all of this for each command. So this would avoid us for putting each information or each echo statements. For example, for the htop command, if we do htop, it would be showing htop and the real-time information of the htop command. If it is vmstat, it would be showing vmstat followed by the output of vmstat. So now the next command is hostname. This would provide us the information of the host name or the desktop. Now nproc. This command is for showing number of processing units available. htop. This command is for system resource usage. And the last command is virtual memory statistics, that is vmstat. So now that we have added all these commands, let's just save and quit by doing escape :wq ! Now let's just try to see if we can execute the script even if we don't have permissions. So as you can see, like we don't have permissions to execute the script by default, even if we are the person that has created it. That means a user. So to tackle this, we would need to give it permissions by performing chmod space 700 space the script name, that is systeminfo.sh. So this would give permissions for read, write, execute for the user, that is me, and no permissions for groups and no permissions for others. No read, write, execute for groups and others, only permissions for me, the user, that is 7 read, write, execute. Now that we have permissions, let's try to execute it again. Now it is executable. The UI you are seeing is of the htop command, which means we have successfully executed the script. Htop is a command that shows real-time information, so we can just exit the htop command by performing F10. Now you can see the information of the commands we have put inside the script, that is like host name followed by desktop executor, which is my host name, and nproc followed by 4, that is the number of processing units available. Htop was visible in the real time, which we have exited. We can see virtual memory statistics, that is vmstat. So now you are seeing the information that is like host name, nproc, htop, vmstat. We are seeing this metadata because we have added the set equals -x command, which was debug mode. If we didn't put that command, we would just be getting simple outputs for each command inside the script, which would be like host name command followed by all this information without any metadata or without any information. So set equals -x command helped us provide information of the command followed by its output. So we could have understand of which command gave us which output. So that is it for the video today. I hope I made the topic simple and insightful. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.